Hey, welcome to another episode of Southern Ohio Matters with host Gina Collinsworth. Gina Collinsworth is a public information coordinator with Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission, in which she is bringing a number of different guests that are going to talk about the CARES Act in Southern Ohio. So stay tuned. Hey, welcome to another episode of Southern Ohio Matters with Gina Collinsworth. Gina, it is a pleasure always working with you.
Hey, Patrick. Good to see you. Hi, everybody out there. Thanks for tuning in. All the good news you can use here on Southern Ohio Matters. We try to make sure that we're all informed about what's happening in the region so that we can be better citizens and we can take advantage of all the coordinated efforts that are going on. We like to shine a light on the people that are doing the good work in Southern Ohio, and today's show is full of great people. And my first guest today is Marty Hohenberger. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Marty. How are you?
Hi, Gina. How are you?
Great. You are so, it's great to be with you today because we've just met recently in our work through Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission and the Ohio University, the Voinovich School. So tell us, Marty, what do you do at the Voinovich School?
Thanks, Gina. I'm the director of the Center for Economic Development and Community Resilience. And our team, it's a small team, but we are very involved with a number of different grant programs through our work at the Voinovich School. And primarily in the economic development field, we're providing technical assistance to communities around our region and sometimes even around the entire state.
We sure have seen a lot more opportunities for technical assistance on all the funding that's been coming down through the CARES Act. And I know your role and what we do here at OVRDC, we're doing our best to get the information out to people and communities and our local business leaders and our local government that can use it. And one of the things that we connected on recently was the CARES Act Q&A. And I thought we could share some information about that because all this funding is coming down and our local governments are figuring out innovative ways to use that in the community.
Well, I'd be glad to share with you some of the information that we received in that Q&A and in the background about how that came about. The Voinovich School for the last 8 years presented and put on a State of the Region event, and we had planned prior to the COVID-19 pandemic to have our State of the Region in May. And because of the pandemic, we really had to cancel that event. And a number of our partners really thought it would be a good idea if we provided some virtual sessions to help the region move forward amidst the pandemic on a number of related issues.
The one that we were talking about, the Q&A for CARES Act, that involved the Ohio Office of Budget and Management. So they had some great information. What were some of the highlights of that session?
Well, I think some of the big takeaways were there was a lot of confusion about how the funds could be used. And what we found out in the Q&A session was that there's so many broad uses for the funds. They can be really used for any purpose a local government needs to respond or recover from the COVID-19 pandemic in their communities. If the expenses they incurred between March 1st and December 30th, that was the time frame for the funds, and the community could demonstrate and, to be clear, document that the expenditures were necessary to respond to the public health emergency, then it was generally an allowable expense. So that was a great piece of information, and the director for the Office of Budget Management was very clear on how those funds could be used and how communities could access those funds. One of the other things is we also heard from Mayor Mason from Zanesville, just as somebody that could kind of share with the audience how they use their funds. And one of the things that they did and really felt strongly about was a number of the disadvantaged parts of their community where distance learning was, the name of the game during this whole pandemic was the broadband issue. And how could they make sure that those disadvantaged students had access to the internet and could basically participate in distance learning. So they spent their dollars on creating hotspots and the purchase of Chromebooks in a number of their community organizations that helped respond to that issue. They also obviously used their funds for PPE, food delivery, and other services to some of the more vulnerable populations. So that was a great example for the audience to hear how those funds could be used.
Marty, in your role at the Center for Economic Development at the Voinovich School, why do you feel like it's important that you take the lead on organizing these types of events? And, what kind of future sessions do you think might be in the works?
Well, I think it's important to kind of plan and host these types of events, whether it's in person, like we have in our State of the Region event, or virtually. It gives us a chance to learn from each other, what's working, what isn't working. And it's really to leverage our collective knowledge and creativity to solve some of the more pressing regional issues.
You referenced Mayor Mason from Zanesville, and coming up next, we're going to speak with another mayor who happened to be part of that conference, Mayor Charlie Hudson from Wellston, Ohio. So thank you so much, Marty, for tuning in today and being part of the show. We always want to get the word out to the people about all the things that are happening in the region, and you're a big part of that.
And I did want to say, Gina, just in case there were other questions that people might have, I think a good resource would be go to the State of the Region website, and that's sotr.ohio.edu. And the actual Q&A session is on that website. And then more information about the grant, go to grants.ohio.gov. And I think that will be a very informative tool for those listening.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Marty. I'll let you get on with your day, and we will talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Nice talking to you, Gina. Take care.
Patrick, wasn't that great information that Marty just shared about CARES Act dollars and the Ohio University Voinovich School? That was great info, huh?
It was very a good interview.
Well, the community development aspect of what they do, that is great information. But our next guest is going to tell us how that really works on the ground, how you really see that happening in people's lives. So we want to welcome to the show the mayor of the city of Wellston in Jackson County, Charlie Hudson. Hi, Charlie. Hi, Mayor.
Hi. How are you? How are you today, Gina?
Doing great. Thank you so much for taking time, because I wanted to specifically talk with you about the way CARES Act dollars are coming into our communities here in Southern Ohio. And Charlie, tell us what happened when, as the mayor of Wellston, you heard about the opportunity for CARES Act dollars, and what happened from there?
Well, for one thing, we were very grateful to get that money. We've experienced the same issues that everyone else has with this pandemic, and it's been very, very hard on our citizens. We received just a little bit over $110,000 because of the size of the population. Immediately banked the money and started going about using it the best way we possibly could. Obviously, we did the same things that everyone else did with the PPEs and the sanitation and all that. But one of the things we were having a problem with, our citizens were having a problem with, was making ends meet, their day-to-day living expenses and things like that. And one of the things that the governor did that was good is that he put a moratorium on utility disconnections, which was great, a great thing. But also at the same time, it ran up some bills because they weren't forgiven. They were just delayed, and they were stacking up. So there were so many restrictions on the grant, the CARES Act grant itself. Cities could not use it to replace revenue. They couldn't use it for other things that cities likes to do, like buy trucks and things like that. So we had to get creative. And one of the things we came up with is we partner with Jackson County Community Action Agency to give them a grant to help our citizens with utility bills. We combed through all the frequently asked questions of the CARES Act, and we found a couple spots that allows cities to grant their monies to nonprofits or other government agencies, and specifically a line that helps for people that's been impacted negatively by COVID and could not manage their utilities. And we partner with them, signed a contract between their agency and our city that they would pay back utility bills. And at the end of each month, we would grant them the money back to replace their own funds. And what that did for us, it allowed us to use the monies instead of sending it back, because no one wants to give money back to Washington once they get their hands on it.
That's right. No.
And it will allow them to stretch their dollars farther because they were using their own funds to do it, and we replenished their funds with our funds. And it's I think to date we're roughly around $16,000 in back utility bills that we funded, which has helped our citizens out greatly. And when we were doing this, I did an interview with the Columbus Dispatch a few weeks ago about the problems we have in Southern Ohio with water. And accessible to clean water. And since then, our city has received $7,000 in donations from folks from Columbus.
Wow.
Bills. And we put that to good use. And we're to a point where we went from roughly 300 people that were in arrears on water, and we've set them up on payment plans over the course of the year to get current. And we're down to, I think, 80 some folks. And within 10 months, everyone will be current on water. And,
wow.
Not only is it water, but Community Action is also helping with gas bills and electric bills, and that's their purview. That's what they do, and we were happy to be able to partner with them. They've done a great. Cheryl Thiessen over there, she does a great job, and my hats off to them, and thank them for helping us spend our money. So,
Mayor Hudson, what you're talking about really highlights how much power there is in connecting with agencies and partnerships and getting creative about working together. I mean, that was an amazing idea that you had.
Well, I like to try to look around the corners and remove barriers. And let's face it, I can only buy so many masks and so much hand sanitizer. The next tranche, and apparently they've released $175 million to local communities. And the next one we do, I'm going to not only continue the partnership with Community Action, but I think I'm also going to reach out to the school system and see what we can do there. I've had a couple teachers come to me and say, listen, we're doing this remote stuff, and if I only had this computer program, it's $1,500, but it would help my fourth graders comprehend better. We're also trying to figure out how to get hotspots at our city buildings so that the kids that are out in the country, broadband's a tremendous issue in our area, that they can come in and set out our parking lots and do their homework. So those are sort of the things we're kicking around trying to do with the next amount of money. And I understand there's a Senate bill now, I believe it's 371, that's circulating that would release the rest of the $650 million the state's setting on to local governments. So, we'll put it to use if they give it to us, and
right.
I guarantee you we're not wasting it.
That's great. You became mayor January 1st of this year, and you've really been working hard, getting a lot done. So tell me a little bit, before our time runs out, about the new expansion of the Totino's plant. Yes. General Mills. That's good news for Wellston and Jackson County as well.
That is excellent news. That was a coordinated effort. There's grant money came in from Jobs Ohio and Ohio Southeast, and everyone pulled together, and they are expanding their capacity. They're doing more high-tech jobs underneath that umbrella, and It is a necessary business, and it was vital in the food chain, and they are the sole producer of Totino's pizza rolls. They make 30,000 a minute, and
Wow.
you get a pizza roll anywhere in the world. It came from Wellston, Ohio.
That's so cool. Before we go, we have 1 minute left. This is not enough time to answer this question, but, I really like the vision that you have for our area. So I wanted to make sure I ask you, what do you feel like the biggest challenges are for us to overcome in Southern Ohio?
It's broadband. We will never get up to the big leagues as long as we can't connect. We have to connect. And if there's one thing that anyone in Columbus or DC could do for us is give us the same connectivity that they have in major metro areas. And you give us that with our workforce and our attitudes, we will overcome anything.
Absolutely. Mayor Charlie Hudson of Wellston, Ohio, thank you so much. You're an inspiring person. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Gina. You do a great job yourself. So.
All right, Patrick, more information after this little bit of a break here. We've got more information, and Charlie mentioned broadband, so that's definitely something we want to talk about next. Once again, good news you can use here on Southern Ohio Matters. And our last segment for this show ties in with everything we've been talking about. We want to welcome to the show Julia Hinton from the Governor's Office of Appalachia. Hi, Julia.
Hi, Gina. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Thank you for taking time to be with us, Julia, because I love talking with you and working with you on projects through your work with the Appalachian Regional Commission. Tell us briefly, because I know you could probably talk a long time about it, what is ARC and how do they work in the region?
Absolutely, sure. I work for the Governor's Office of Appalachia. We're the state partner agency that works with the federal agency, Appalachian Regional Commission. They were founded in 1965 to do work on mainly infrastructure throughout 13 states, and Ohio is one of those 13 states. We have 32 counties that fall into Appalachia.
So in Southern Ohio, that probably follows a lot of the counties along the river and basically through the hills, right?
That's right. I'm a river rat myself, grew up in Chesapeake, Ohio, and so it follows all the way from Claremont County up to Ashtabula, so it follows the Ohio River all the way over.
One of the things that's been happening recently, I know ARC has been hosting a summer series online for people every Wednesday. Week 1, week 2, week 3 is coming up. Let's talk about that a little bit. That has featured some really great people from Ohio, including our favorite, your boss, John Kerry.
That's right. We are very lucky. Governor Mike DeWine is serving as the state's co-chair for the Appalachian Regional Commission, or ARC. And in lieu of holding a summit in Marietta, Ohio, which is what we initially had planned, we've been doing 4 sessions, virtual sessions, and we are getting ready to start our 3rd one this coming Wednesday at 11 o'clock. And the first 2 sessions, Governor DeWine hosted the first one and talked about leadership with COVID, and federal co-chair Tim Thomas joined him, as well as an Ohio native, Tiffany Swigert from Coshocton Port Authority. It was a great session, a lot of insight to how different parts of the state and the region have been handling COVID.
What I like about ARC, they identify priorities for the region that they are strategically working on, including infrastructure development, which is the traditional one, transit and transportation, funding for regional growth, and last week's session kind of focused on workforce development as far as talking about the recovery to work efforts. That was a really great session.
That was a great session. We had Director Alicia Nelson from Recovery Ohio as our moderator, and had a lot of good insight from Ross County from the CARES program. Julie Bolin was one of our panelists. And it was really insightful and interesting to hear how they've been handling the situation. Again, in light of COVID, it's changed everything.
It really has. Another leader in workforce development in Jackson County that we want to just show a little video about and shine a light on their program is Belicio Foods and Nick Irwin. So let's take a look at that video, and then when we come back, we'll talk more.
Sounds great.
I'm Nick Irwin, Senior Director of Operations at Bellisio Foods in Jackson, Ohio. So our workforce is comprised of 1,200 employees that mostly come from the area about 30 miles from our facility. We're located in a county of about 30,000. In our community and here at Bellisio Foods, the opioid epidemic hit close to us really early. It's been our experience that folks going through recovery have many of the same needs and problems as their neighbors. But through the addiction, they've often damaged the support structures and relationships around them, however fragile those relationships and support structures may have been in the first place. Because of that, they may need more frequent help overcoming the smallest of barriers until they have reestablished those relationships and/or some sort of financial help. The second thing we see is that there are some hiring barriers, such as background checks and maybe even a person's previous reputation that may not accurately reflect the person standing in front of you that wants to work. It takes a little bit of effort, but you can filter through those things to get an accurate picture of the person that's standing in front of you and where they are in their life, and then you can make the proper hiring decision from there. That council gave me the opportunity to meet folks from other areas, and we realized our problems are very, very similar. Folks really struggled with transportation, with childcare, with those immediate problems that they really needed some kind of help with, or it was going to cause a major conflict in their life. And that just emboldened us to continue down the path that we were on. With this COVID process, it's really tough recently to judge any kind of normalcy. Inside our facility, our employees have really stepped up in an amazing way. We had a lot of hungry people.
During these times where people are suffered with the loss of work and money, we think this is a great way to contribute.
I want to thank all of you guys for coming out and volunteering your time to give back to the community, your families.
We want to ensure that nobody goes hungry tonight. So as a company, we are very fortunate to be able to give food away to our community, and we just want to thank you all for coming out to offer your help.
You know, we get real about this epidemic that we're in. Folks need some strange kind of help, and quite frankly, as a company, we found the best way that we can keep our workforce stable is to really reach out and try to help folks in that regard. And we've just taken on that mindset that we'll pay it forward to the community because we live here, and someday we may need that back in return.
That was really great information that we learned about Bellisio Foods and their workforce development program for encouraging people in recovery to have the support they need to stay connected. Next week's ARC Summer Series is another great topic. What will it be about, Julia?
Yeah, so next week looks at infrastructure, highways to broadband. And we are very fortunate that Broadband Ohio Chief Peter Voterberg will be moderating that session. We'll kind of look at more traditional infrastructure such as water, wastewater issues that we still have in the region. We'll look at kind of how we're handling some of that and look towards the future. We'll have Patrick Smith from Drive Ohio and ODOT also featured in the a panel. They're working on a really smart program that follows Route 33. So we're excited to see what they have to offer and share with everyone.
That automated driving is really interesting and futuristic. I feel like we're on the cutting edge here in Ohio for, you know, developing that technique and that technology that could be all over the world soon.
That's absolutely, and this is great that they are focusing this pilot program in our part of the state. It gives us an opportunity to see how we can benefit from broadband, and I know our office and ARC is working very hard to bring more connectivity across our region.
Julia Hinton from the Governor's Office of Appalachia, working closely with Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission and everyone in the region through ARC projects. And we want to encourage everyone to get signed up for this Wednesday's session of Summer Series through ARC. So we'll put that information on the screen. And Julia, thank you so much for taking time to let us know what's going on in your world.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know, the individuals that you have on this particular show are just phenomenal, and they really reflect the enthusiasm and the positive approaches that Southern Ohio has in not only meeting with this pandemic, but also in growing our community. And speaking of those segments, one of the segments that you also have is one of my favorites, and that's the community shout out. And who are you going to be shouting out about and praising today?
Patrick, I could not agree with you more about the positivity in our area. And I feel like Southern Ohio that's our biggest resource, our people. And this show is all about the great people that are out there doing the good job and really kind of what you would say behind the scenes, because a lot of the people we talk to are not necessarily the ones who are getting the headlines. I mean, Charlie Hudson, Mayor Hudson, he got some headlines definitely, and he deserves it totally. But I think Julia, for instance, is someone who works behind the scenes a lot. When we do a shout out, it's to the people who are working behind the scenes and doing the great work for the area and for the region. So today's shout out, I am happy to say, it goes out to my friend Juanita Bragg, who is our finance director here at the Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission. Juanita has, for the 8th year in a row, been awarded the Ohio Auditor's Seal of Excellence and the Award of Excellence. And, that's something that I think is very serious, and I'm happy to shine a light on her work because she is in charge of all the finances that come through our agency, which is considerable. And with the CARES Act dollars that are coming in, there are even more. And this Award of Excellence is the 8th year in a row consecutively that she has earned that. And that tells you, the taxpayer, that somebody is really watching out for your money. Because if you think about it, everything we're doing is for the people, for the community. And I just think it's great that she has such a dedication to her job and has been awarded this excellence.
It's just not an award that's given out. You have to earn it. And especially in accounting, you have to make sure all of your I's are dotted and all of your T's are crossed. Gina, it's a great show. I want to thank you very much for hosting the show. Gina Collinsworth is the Public Information Coordinator with the Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission, located here in Waverly. Gina, it's been a pleasure, and thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, everyone, for watching Southern Ohio Matters. We'll be back next month.